Tupac Shakur is where this whole messy story starts. And girl, the way his name just refuses to rest, even after all these years, it's actually crazy. So listen, we're sitting here thinking we know everything about Tupac, right? Legendary rapper, tragic death, iconic legacy. But now suddenly we've got people out here saying not only might he have had secret kids, but one of them might be someone we've already seen online acting crazy for years. And now folks are like, wait, what if she wasn't crazy at all? So boom, this whole thing starts picking up again because Jada Pinkett Smith, yes, Jada, is being dragged into it. And you already know anything involving Jada and Tupac automatically feels deeper than just gossip. Their bond was always intense. She called him her soulmate. He wrote poems about her. They were locked in emotionally in a way that honestly confused everyone. So now people are like, if Tupac had a secret daughter, Jada would absolutely know something. Now here's where it gets messy. There's this woman, Ally Carter, and she has been talking for years about the industry, exposing stuff, making wild claims, saying she was used, saying she was connected to people like Sean Diddy Combs. And honestly, most people just brushed her off. You know how the internet is, label someone crazy, call them a clout chaser, move on. But now, suddenly her name is coming back around in a very different way because Ally Carter is claiming she is Tupac's daughter. And not in a quiet maybe type of way. No, she's standing on it. She's saying Tupac is her father, and she's even going as far as saying Tupac is still alive. Yes, alive. Living in Nevada, making music behind the scenes, writing for other artists, and collecting percentages. Like, girl, the claims are bold, okay? Now, obviously, people are like, okay, where's the proof? Because let's be real, a lot of women have come out over the years claiming Tupac was their father or that he had secret kids. There was even this woman, Boogie Bentley, back in 2021 saying the same thing, and she didn't show a single receipt. So naturally, people didn't take her seriously. But Ally is different in one way. She's tying her claims into everything else she's been exposing. She's saying the reason Tupac's family is denying her is because they don't want the drama, they don't want the estate issues, and they definitely don't want multiple kids popping up with DNA tests asking for a piece of that legacy money. And honestly, when you think about it, that part, that actually sounds realistic because Tupac's cousin Jamal Elaine already came out and shut everything down completely. She said straight up Tupac had no kids. Zero. Said he wanted kids but never had any before he died. Like, she was firm with it, no hesitation. But then you've got Tupac's ex-wife, Keisha Morris, kind of hinting at something different, not confirming anything directly, but basically admitting Tupac wasn't exactly the most faithful husband. And let's be honest here. If a man is moving like that, the possibility of a child outside the relationship isn't exactly shocking. So now people are connecting dots that maybe weren't even meant to be connected. And Ally Carter, she doubled down even harder. She literally said she has seen Tupac in person, not once, but twice. Said he's chilling in Las Vegas, living his life, still active in music, but behind the scenes. And the way she says it, she sounds dead serious. No hesitation, no joking energy, nothing. Now, whether you believe that part or not, that's a whole different conversation. But here's the thing that really has people talking. Jada, because Jada has had multiple chances to shut this whole thing down. Interviews, her memoir Worthy, Red Table Talk, she has spoken about Tupac a lot, about their friendship, their connection, how much he meant to her. But when it comes to this specific rumor, silence. And not just normal silence, strategic silence. She's not denying it. She's not confirming it. She's just avoiding it completely. And people are like, why? If it's fake, just say it's fake. That's what everyone expects. But the fact that she's choosing not to engage at all is what's making people suspicious. Because again, if Tupac really had a child, Jada would be one of the few people who might actually know the truth. And that's exactly why people keep circling back to Jada Pinkett Smith. Like, girl, what do you know that you're not saying? Because this isn't just some random connection. We're talking about someone who was literally in Tupac's inner world. She wasn't just a friend, she was his emotional safe space. Tupac Shakur himself said she was the standard of what he thought a woman should be. That man wrote poems about her like he was in love, even if they both claimed it never went there physically. So now imagine that same Jada, who has told us everything from their teenage bond to how his death affected her for decades, suddenly going quiet on something this specific. People are like, nah, that's not random. And then you've got Ally Carter still talking, still pushing her narrative, and she's not backing down at all. She's basically saying the entire system is built to silence people like her. According to Ally, the reason she hasn't been acknowledged is not because she's lying, it's because acknowledging her would open a door the family cannot close. Once one child is confirmed, suddenly there's going to be 10 more people lining up saying me too. And now we're talking DNA tests, legal battles, and slicing up Tupac's estate in ways nobody in that family wants to deal with. And let's be real for a second. That part actually makes sense from a business perspective, because Tupac's legacy is not just emotional, it's money, power, branding. You don't just casually let new heirs walk into that situation. But at the same time, people are also side-eyeing Ally hard because of how extreme some of her claims are. Like saying Tupac is alive, that instantly makes people shut down and label everything else she's saying as nonsense. Because once you go that far, it becomes difficult for people to separate what might be true from what sounds completely out there. Still, there's a group of people online who are like, wait, what if she's mixing truth with exaggeration? What if the daughter part is real, but the he's alive part is something else entirely? And you know how the internet works? Once that seed is planted, it grows. Now, let's not forget the timeline here. Tupac passed in 1996. That's decades ago. If there was a child born around that time or shortly before, that person would be an adult today, fully capable of speaking out, defending themselves, showing proof if they had it. And that's exactly what people are waiting for, because right now that's the missing piece. There are no confirmed DNA results, no legal claims filed, no solid undeniable receipts that force everyone to stop and say, okay, this is real. But the rumors, oh, they're loud. And what's making it worse is how many different people have popped up over the years saying similar things. It's not just one isolated claim. It's multiple women, different timelines, different stories, all pointing back to the same idea that Tupac might have lived a much more complicated personal life than what the public saw. Even Keisha Morris kind of added fuel to that without even trying. The way she spoke about their marriage, the way she hinted at his behavior, it didn't exactly paint the picture of someone who was living a quiet, controlled life. It painted someone who was passionate, impulsive, and moving fast. And when you combine that with fame, attention, and access, yeah, things can happen. Now let's talk about the emotional side of this, because people are also looking at Jada through that lens. She has said multiple times that Tupac's death was one of the biggest losses of her life. She was angry. She felt abandoned. She genuinely believed he was someone who would be in her life long term. That's not just casual friendship energy. That's deep. So now people are asking, if there really was a child out there, would Jada feel some type of responsibility to protect that secret? Or is she staying silent because she genuinely doesn't know anything? That's the part nobody can figure out. Because her silence can be read in two completely opposite ways. Either she's hiding something, or she's refusing to give attention to something she knows is false. And the crazy part, both possibilities feel believable. Meanwhile, Ally is still out here making statements like she physically saw Tupac in Las Vegas, talking about him working behind the scenes, collaborating with artists secretly. And people are like, okay, if that's true, then why has nobody else seen him? Why hasn't anything leaked in all these years? But then again, conspiracy culture around Tupac has existed forever. People have been saying he faked his death since the late 90s. Sightings, theories, hidden messages in songs, this isn't new. Ally is just stepping into an already existing narrative and pushing it further. And whether she realizes it or not, that actually makes her story spread because it taps into something people have already been curious about for decades. So now you've got three layers happening at once. You've got the daughter claim, you've got the Tupac is alive claim, and then you've got Jada sitting in the middle of it all, saying nothing, which somehow makes everything louder. And People online, they are eating this up, analyzing every interview, every old clip, every statement, like detectives trying to crack a case that may or may not even exist. And now the conversation has gotten to the point where people aren't just gossiping anymore, they're picking sides. You've got one group saying Ally Carter is just another person chasing attention, adding herself to a legacy that isn't hers. And then you've got another group like, hold on, what if she's been telling the truth this whole time and everyone just dismissed her too quickly? Because think about it. The industry has a long history of silencing people, especially women who come out with uncomfortable stories. So when Ally talks about being used, about being connected to powerful names like Sean Diddy Combs, some people are starting to look back at her old statements differently. Not saying everything she says is true, but maybe not everything is fake either. And that's where it gets uncomfortable, because once you start questioning one part, suddenly everything feels like it needs a second look. People are rewatching her videos, going through old posts, trying to find anything that feels consistent, anything that lines up. And at the same time, they're comparing it to what Tupac Shakur was like back then, his lifestyle, his relationships, the kind of energy he moved with. And let's be real, Tupac wasn't exactly living a quiet, predictable life. He was intense, emotional, surrounded by chaos and fame. So the idea that there could be secrets, that part doesn't shock people at all. What shocks them is how big the secret would have to be for it to stay hidden this long. Now, bring Jada Pinkett Smith back into it, because she's still at the center whether she likes it or not. The more she avoids the topic, the more people talk. And it's not even like she's being cornered aggressively. It's more like people are watching her carefully, waiting for a slip, a reaction, anything that feels slightly off. Because if she came out tomorrow and said this is 100% false, the conversation would probably die down a bit. Not completely, because you know how the internet is, but it would calm things. Instead, the silence keeps the mystery alive. At the same time, you've got Tupac's family standing firm. No kids, no hidden daughter, end of story. And from their perspective, it makes sense too. Imagine having to deal with random claims popping up every few years about someone that important in your family. At some point, you just shut it down completely. But people online aren't satisfied with that anymore. They want proof. They want receipts. They want something solid that ends the debate one way or the other. And then there's Keisha Morris, who unintentionally keeps this whole thing alive just by being a little too honest about the past. She never came out and said, yes, he had kids, but the way she described Tupac's behavior, it leaves enough room for people to imagine things. And honestly, that's all gossip needs, just a little bit of space to grow. Now let's talk about the bigger picture for a second, because this isn't just about whether Ally Carter is Tupac's daughter, it's about legacy. Tupac's name carries weight even today. Music, culture, history, he's not just a person, he's a symbol. So adding a hidden child into that story changes everything. It makes people look at him differently, feel differently, question things they thought they understood. And that's why this is hitting so hard. Because if it's true, it means there's a whole chapter of Tupac's life that was never told. And if it's not true, then it raises another question. Why do these stories keep coming back over and over again? And Ally, she's not slowing down. She's still speaking, still making claims, still insisting that she knows what she knows. And whether people believe her or not, she's managed to put herself right in the middle of one of the most talked about conversations around Tupac in years. Meanwhile, Jada stays quiet, the family stays firm. And the internet is doing what it always does, turning every clip, every quote, every silence into a theory. At the end of the day, there's still no confirmed proof that Tupac Shakur had a daughter. There's no DNA test, no legal acknowledgement, nothing official tying Ally Carter to him in a way that can't be questioned. But the story refuses to go away, and honestly, it probably won't anytime soon. Because when you mix a legendary name, unanswered questions, and a little bit of mystery, people are always going to lean in. And now I'm curious, do you think Ally Carter is telling the truth about being Tupac's daughter, or is this just another story that got way out of control?